probably too soon, right?
I can't stand intros.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another one-on-one. Today I'm going to look at the Benchmade Bailout. But before I get into that, just a quick update. This was the first video in the one-on-one series. And I was talking about how I was having a hard time closing it, pinching it in this grip, because I don't really have a lot of power. Most other cold steels, have the lock in this area. Anyway, go back to that video. I talk more about it. But anyway, my solution is just to slide everything up in here. And suddenly I have more power in my thumb, as mentioned before. And I think it's even safer. And I'm going to do a couple of little mods. I am going to take this edge off. I'm going to soften that because it's really biting. It's really biting in this area. So anyway, I thought I'd pass that on. This thing is absolutely amazing. I am looking for the extra large now. Anyway, let's move into the bailout. Where is it? Here it is. Benchmade Bailout. Yeah, this thing was hard to get. It reminded me of the Paramilitary 2 when it first came out. Some of you might remember how that went. This is similar. They started releasing this. I think this is the second batch because there's no writing on the side, and this is the way I prefer it anyway. So all I'm going to do is tell you my first impressions on this thing, and that's pretty much it. If you're looking for weights and measures, again, some great reviews on the internet. Go check them out for sure. But I'll just kind of go over it really quickly, the best I can. Just some of the things that I picked up on when I got it. So when I first opened it up, of course, it was stiff. It would stop in here somewhere, and it was tight and stiff. Probably part of it was because I live in a cold climate, so it was in the mail and post. It was really, really cold when I got it, so of course metals react. That could be part of it. One thing I did was I, of course, loosened the pivot just a little bit, and I loosened this just ever so slightly. I found that when I was loosening the pivot, I could almost take it out, and it was still really, really stiff. So this might have been over-tightened a little bit. And I just ever so slightly loosen that and loosen this. Put in some 3-in-1, just one drop of 3-in-1. And we're at this stage here now. So it's a free dropper, and I'm okay with that. The one thing I noticed too, and it was probably because it was so stiff, it felt like the lock, it felt like it wasn't long enough. It felt like I was really digging in and trying to get that, and it was kind of starting to hurt. But now, of course, now that it's broken in, it's not a problem. So it's really sweet now. The other thing about the lock I noticed was it stuck. So I had to really work hard to unlock it. And it kind of reminded me of an Emerson for a little while, how it got the lock stick at the beginning, and then it kind of went away, and now it's gone. So what I did was I just put a little bit of graphite, just a little bit of a pencil on there, not very long, and then I wiped it all down, and it was all good. So that was like a matter of about an hour and a half, and now it's wickedly smooth. The glass breaker, it was kind of, you're holding it in this position. It kind of digs into your hand a little bit. You see a dot somewhere. I'll try it on the left hand, maybe. I'm sure somebody's talked about this somewhere along the line. It's just really obvious. Right? It's not that bad though. Unless you're sitting doing this all day long, I think it would be a problem. But doing this right now, it's not that big of a deal. It's super smooth now. The other thing I noticed was the pocket clip is extremely tight, like really, really tight. So I just just slightly softened it. It's not, it's still touching the aluminum, but it's a little softer when I first got it. It was really hard in and out of the pants, so that's great. Also, because the pocket clip is thicker at this end, kind of pops out a little, the pants go right up to here. They don't get bound up on the screw heads like on the Buck 110 Slim Pro. This one, not a problem because it is a little thicker. I do like the glass breaker. This particular knife has a roll in my collection, so I can talk about that a little bit later. The aluminum is absolutely cool. The color, the texture, awesome. One thing I notice about this one that doesn't happen on my 940 is right, let's see if I can find it now. Don't want to cut myself. There's a spot here where, somewhere in here, if your finger is in between the thumb stud and the aluminum, it hurts like a yimpany yummany. But I think I'm just getting used to this. These aren't really nitpicks. This is just me getting used to it. And there's that glass breaker that I like. Now, I don't have a glass breaker on any of my knives except for this one. I had an old, I think it was CRKT, maybe it was a Zlek or something like that. And I did like that. I like to carry a knife that's got a glass breaker. I carry a Surge every day. And if I had to, I suppose I can open up the pliers, and if I had to, I just like to have something really thin and light that has that. And I know what you're thinking. It's an expensive glass breaker, I know. But let's get into the knife now. We're talking M4 steel. I have M4 in 2 or 3 of my other knives. The blade retention is just absolutely sick. And this one came out pretty sharp, pretty good. The one thing that bothered me was, and I'm going to fix this coming up here, is the edge grind wasn't exactly perfect on the Tonto part. You see how it's shallower at the point on one side, and the other side is it's kind of okay. So I'm going to clean that up, and everything else was okay. So I don't have a problem with any of that. But again, if you're a knife guy, you're a little OCD. Some of us are, not all of us, but some of us are. You want that to be perfect. So another little thing I noticed is this gap in here seems to be a nice spot to, I got pinched in there as well. Again, it's not the knife, it's me getting used to this knife. And again, I don't know, it's probably just me. I found it, when I first got it, I found it to be just a little janky. And but now it's starting to smooth out. Everything is very cool. And what else did I want to talk about on this knife? The the thinness and the lightness. You can carry 2 knives, not a problem. Something a bit beefier and something like this. Wow. And you can just EDC this, I suppose. Some people will. I've only had this for a day now. And yeah, I'm digging it. The one thing about the size, it almost feels, to me, this area, it feels more comfortable there. It almost feels like it'd be cool if there was some jimping on the top. And again, I know some of you guys like the jimping, and I think this one would actually lend itself well to having it right about there. By having the thumb here, I feel like I'm a little too far back, but that is exactly the same as the Osborne 940. Same thing. And everybody's hand is different, and the way we grip is different, so there isn't really one way. This is just the way it is for me. And some of you are going to have completely different thoughts on that. I did specifically request that the seller looked at the blade centering before sending it to me, and this one's like awesome. And I've not had a lot of luck with Benchmades in the past, and I'm really happy to see this. So there you go. Do I like it? It's a little too soon, but so far I have to say yeah. And I think in the following video, the next video coming up, I'm going to feature one of my songs, and I'm going to put this on the Edge Pro. So if you want to listen to one of my newer songs, I'm going to sharpen this on the Edge Pro, and let's see if we can even everything out and make it all nice and shiny and all that stuff. So, all right, hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for sticking around. Have a great day. Bye for now.